So here we're simplifying expressions by finding simplifying of roots. Okay, so if we take the square root of 16 here, that's the same as saying 16 to the power of a half. If we look back at the root one, it's 16 to the power of 1, and we're finding the square root of it, so it becomes 1 over 2. And we know that the square root of 16 at this stage is 4. We're just going to talk about it being 4. This bit here with the little 3 here means that you're finding the cube root of it. So following the same pattern, that's 8 to the power of 1, and you're finding the cube root of it. So that becomes 8 to the power of a third. Now, what number times itself 3 times equals 8? And that has to equal 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 equals 8. So the cube root of 8 equals 2. Following that pattern, we can use it for algebra as well. Okay, so we got a to the power of 4, and it's the cube root. So we can rewrite that as a to the power of 4 thirds. The 4 goes on the top line of the fraction, and the 3 goes on the bottom line. So all of these, when you're finding the roots or the cube roots or whatever, it becomes a fraction. Okay, right. So let's find the square root of 16x to the power of 4. We can rewrite it as 16x, now 4, and that's to the power of a half. Okay, we've got to the power of a half. Now the square root of 16 is 4, or 16 to the power of a half equals 4. You can see that from the top line. Now, knowing what we know from when we're doing powers of powers, remember we can just multiply 4 times a half to work out what the power of x will be. And 4 times a half is 2, and you can see that that will be x to the power of 2. Okay, it just finds half of the power underneath. Right, let's have a look at this one. So we can rewrite it as 100x to the power of 6. Again, it's just the square root, so we can write it to the power of a half. Now, the square root of 100, or 100 to the power of a half, is 10. Okay, 10 times 10 equals 100. And using our rules before, because we've got brackets here, 6 times a half is just 3. So we're just halving the 6, and we find x to the power of 3. And that's how you work with simplifying expressions with roots.